ways. The subject of the day today, folks, is all about water, water everywhere. And there's a story in today's Business Daily, Hamo, page 6.
Yes.
And, you know, this is about Murang'a County. Munga and Wairia fight over water firm spills to Senate. And I'll just read a little, the first paragraph. The fight between Tycoon Peter Munga and Murang'a Governor Mwangi Wairia over control of a water company has shifted to Parliament after World Bank withdrew a 100 million shilling loan. The World Bank has pulled the plug on waterworks in Murang'a County because these two are busy fighting. Anthony Ambugo. So, for people who don't know, and we didn't know until a short while ago, what is WASPA?
No, thank you, Jeff. WASPA is an acronym, as you've put it, that stands for Water Services Providers Association. This is the premier umbrella body of all water companies in the Republic of Kenya. Water Act 2002. This act provided a new institutional framework in this country to govern water, because initially water was offered by the municipal councils, the ministry, and other agencies.
Right.
But now when we had the Water Act, it came in and created a number of institutions with specific roles. We had the Ministry of Water and Irrigation, which is now Ministry of Water and Sanitation, to deal with policy formulation. Then we had regulation of water services and water resources. But towards its, this structure is well explained in form of a pyramid. At the bottom, close to the consumers, we had the water services providers, which were formed by the local authorities there. So, and at the onset, we had 3 companies, Kericho, Eldoret, and Nyeri, who came together and thought that it was important for us to create a platform where these WSPs, confronted with new challenges because they were new, could have a platform to share knowledge and experience. And this is when WASPA was born, registered under Cap 108 of the Societies Act. And I'm happy to say that from the membership of 3, we now have 68 water services providers.
68? Countrywide?
Yes, out of the 88 regulated utilities.
Oh, there are 88 now?
Yeah, there are 88, which are serving a population of around 20 million.
Yeah.
And it's only 12 million that are getting water in that area.
Yeah, and the rest of the people, they have to rely on kokotenis to bring them water to their estates. Why is that?
Not specifically per se, because we also have other water communities, water suppliers that are not regulated, but you will find that they are providing the service. This has not been captured, but it is true to say that the largest populace are not connected to water.
No, they're not. And why is that, Anthony? Why is that?
What I can say, and should be able to understand, that water infrastructure is very expensive. And I think the government has put mechanisms in place to ensure that by 2030, we are able to attain universal coverage. So the budget that we require to ensure we have universal coverage is 1.7 trillion.
Good Lord. Umesikia?
Yeah?
Sasa tumetoka B.
Sasa tuko trillion.
Tumetoka B tumeenda 3.
Ndio maana tulikuwa tunadai pesa ya China. If water is that expensive,
Jesus.
water.
So, uko kwenye Las Vegas.
Yes.
Muna maji, muna...
Clean water lorry. Si unajua hizo lorry?
Is it ever clean?
Tunakunywa maji kwa imani.
Anthony, with those trucks that we see carrying water,
yes,
are they inspected regularly?
That ought to be the case, because normally the way the institutional framework is done is that you have a water service provider with a clear demarcation, like here in Nairobi. It's Nairobi Water. So if you have a borehole and you have been given no objection, where maybe Nairobi Water is unable to supply, of course you need to get a permit from the Water Resources Authority, who will ensure that the quality of water is okay. But this should be inspected by the water service provider from time to time. Yes.
And Nairobi having been built on a swamp, right?
Yes.
Was sitting on a swamp. Is that a problem here at some point?
Yeah, you've seen what happens because we're on both sides of the pendulum when during the rains it's flood all over
everywhere,
and you realize that Nairobi doesn't have a source of water of its own. It's relying on water from Sasamua Dam in Nyandarua. We have Ndakaini that is in Murang'a, and also we have the Kiambu Springs. This is where we get water that we drink here in Nairobi.
And talking about water, I just read that story about Mwangi wa Iria and Peter Munga fighting in Murang'a. What is that about?
No, I think it has been personalized, but what we want to say is that there is no vacuum in the water sector. The architectural framework that provides the provision of water in this country is governed by the Water Act 2016, which is an import and an improvement of Water Act 202, where we have seen there are a lot of gains. And the Water Act 2016 seeks to protect the same gains. The only difference is that the Water Act 2016 recognizes the constitutional mandate of the county government, which is stipulated in Schedule 4 of our Constitution 2010, that when it comes to water services and sanitation provision, and I have to be clear that water is a shared function. It is only water services that is a constitutional function of the county government. The same Schedule 4 gives the national government water resource management function. So we have water as a resource and water services provision. You don't talk of water services provision without talking of water resource. So water resource purely is a function of the national government.
Tuseme tumechanganywa
Sana.
umegundua nini tumesikia?
Water resource.
Yes, and water provision.
And water provision.
Water, which is in cap number 17 of the Water Provision Act 2017. You should be a politician. This is awesome. Swali ilikuwa tuulize tena na Swahili hapo.
Tell me something. Can somebody build a dam on their own property, or they have to have permission?
Kama ule alitengeneza ya Solai.
Solai.
Yes.
It is regulated.
Meaning what?
Before any approvals, we have the Water Resources Authority that does that. It is like if you want to put a borehole in your own property. Kuna sheria. Hata ukitaka kuchimba, ukiangalia katika katiba, it talks about of all those resources belong to the national government.
Right. Anything under the ground.
Yes. So you need to get permit to extract the same water. So it is with the dams. There are laws governing that. Kuna sheria ambayo inasimamia hiyo rasilimali. Sasa nilikuwa nasema msichanganyikiwe sana. Kuna rasilimali ya maji na kuna kule kusafisha maji na kusambaza. Sasa county inashughulikia ile huduma ya usafishaji wa maji na kusambaza kupitia mabomba na mifereji ya maji. Lakini ile rasilimali ya maji yenyewe ili uje ugawanye ile maji. Tunasema hivi. Angalia kama mto Nile. Kitovu chake kiko wapi? Kiko katika nchi yetu. This is the source of River Nile. Lakini maji inatumika kule Egypt. Sasa sisi tukisema kwamba hii maji inaenda Egypt ni yetu, inamaanisha tutawalipisha kodi wale. Na ndio nataka ieleweke kabisa. Katika katiba, county government imepatiwa majukumu. Na kulingana na ile sheria ya maji, kuna mfumo wa usambazaji wa maji. Kama nitarudia mambo ya Murang'a kidogo. Katika ule mfumo wa usambazaji wa maji, serikali ya gatuzi haifanyi moja kwa moja. Maana ni kitu kimekubaliwa katika dunia nzima ya kwamba government is not the best institution to offer services directly. Inatumia what we call maybe semi-autonomous government agencies. Na katika county ndio hizi water service providers, the companies. Na zimetengenezwa kufuatia pia the Companies Act. Sasa county government wana majukumu ya appointment of board of directors. Kulingana na sheria iliyowekwa. Sasa kizungumkuti ni kwamba counties nyingi zinataka kuweka directors bila kuzingatia sheria iliyowekwa. Na ndio unakuta sasa kuna malumbano kama hii unaona Murang'a. Governor amegazette ameweka chairman mpya. Chairman amekimbia kotini. Chairman amerudishwa na koti kwa sababu kuna sheria. Sasa kitu cha muhimu ni kwamba majukumu haya ni ya serikali ya county. Lakini ni vizuri wakifanya neno lolote wafanye kulingana na sheria ambayo iliyowekwa.
Hapo tumeelewa.
Umeelewa kizungumkuti?
Kizungumkuti.
Yeah, I know. Jeff, that is where you left him. Kwa kizungumkuti. Yeah, we'll come back for you.
We'll come back later.
Yeah.
In the meantime, Khadija Hussein is saying, good morning, what explanation can be given for areas that had water supply for years but now have dry taps and running bills?
That's an ambiguous question. It is important to know which area is this.
Okay, Khadija, tell us what area you're talking about in particular that had running water for years and now it's dry taps. Ben Japinika says, ask the water guy, if KEBS checks the quality of water carried by those exhauster water tankers. That's the ones I was talking about, exhauster water tankers, since they rebrand the lorries depending on the season. Does KEBS check regularly is what he's asking.
Yeah, I believe that is their mandate. When it comes to the water companies, what I know, and these services provided by even water companies where there is no piped network, is that KEBS would come and take samples to ensure that you comply with international and national standards. There are KEBS standards, there are WHO standards, so that you comply.
There is Moses Kimngetich. Anasema here in Eldoret, we have water shortage more so in Shaurimoyo estate for like a week or so. Is Eldoas all about rationing? This Eldoas is under your...
Are they part of you guys?
Yes, they are part of us. I may not answer authoritatively because one thing I will have to say is that rationing is a reality in this country.
Yeah.
Because one is that Kenya is classified under the United Nations as a water scarce country. The per capita requirement is 1,000 cubic meters per person per year.
What's our average?
Hello?
What is our average?
Less than 500. So we are doing badly.
The Kisiangani anasema, umeona hiyo?
Yes.
Great interview. This guy is switching from Queen's English to Kiswahili Mufti with ease.
Malumbano.
Hiyo ni nini?
Muzozano. Hiyo malumbano ni hiyo wailia na munga. Unaweza weka tu utoe malumbano weke wailia na munga.
Malumbano.
Yeah, it's just one word.
I see. I love the queries, by the way. These folks are very interested because water is life. Let's face it.
It's true.
And they say the next big war will be over water as a resource.
World war.
World war, correct.
Not even big war.
World war.
And we are seeing that this is evident. It is true, water is life. But the absence of safe and clean water is leading to missed school opportunities. It is leading to needless deaths. It is leading to low productivity. And we are not spared as a country.
No.
We are at 60% in terms of coverage.
60%.
60%.
What is the average in East Africa, say?
I don't have the figures, but we are not doing badly as compared to our brothers in Uganda and Tanzania. We are way ahead, I can assure you, without fear.
And Rwanda?
I don't have the figures.
Okay.
Check.
Gongo Kiari says, my regards to Mr. Ambugo. Talk about cartels that damage supply pipes and sell water to us. How do you deal with them?
This is a very difficult question to answer, but I'll attempt to answer it. Because I've worked, but not to that extent, because it's a reality. This is true, and it's happening. And we have what is called water losses. These are, the national averages are at around 42%. And that translates to almost 7.8 billion in monetary terms. So that is an entire Northern Collector project that is fetching water from Murang'a through the Northern Collector water tunnel. This will be a game changer, bringing 140,000 cubic meters of water in Nairobi.
Is that the same tunnel that former Prime Minister Raila Odinga said was choking off
Absolutely.
Central?
Yes.
It's the same tunnel.
That is the same tunnel. I don't want to go into the politics, but this is something that underwent environmental and social impact assessment.
And what you're saying is, you just mentioned it's a game changer?
Yes, it's a game changer.
In what way?
One thing is that we have a serious deficit. We are talking of water scarcity in Nairobi. Is that the installed capacity in Nairobi, I think, is around 25,000 cubic meters per day. But the demand is 770,000 cubic meters. So we don't have enough sufficient water to serve the entire populace of Nairobi. And as you are aware, you have mentioned cartels. In Nairobi, I'm not sure about the percentage, but they lose at least 30% of what they produce. Some of this is through illegal connections. There are people who connect them to the systems. And you find these are the people who may be supplying the water illegally. So it is a fight. But under tariff, which is regulated, you also put a component of ensuring that you have to deal with such people, the illegal connections. The best is that if you have them, they have to be penalized and you bring them. It is better to have them inside than have them outside there.
Okay, Khadija, who had earlier on was asking about areas that had water supply for years, but now the taps are dry and they have running bills, right? She's talking about Kibra on Karanja Road in particular.
I think precisely we'll be able to get this to the management of Nairobi Water to get a clear and precise answer. But the important thing is climate change is real. It's affecting here. We have seen rivers drying up.
Yeah.
So it means that where you are able to abstract maybe 10,000 cubic, you are not able to do that because of climate change. And again, we have to agree that there is also urbanization. You have population growth, new buildings come up, there are new industries, demand is increasing. So that should be a challenge also, because demand has outstripped supply. So it means we have to keep the pace, and that is where you have the Northern Collector. So that one is within the planning horizon of 2035, within the framework of Vision 2030. But we need to move beyond that because the population will change also.
Of course.
So that is a challenge, but what we are saying is that as much as we have these challenges, that we may not have water 24/7 in the tap. Where I live, it comes once.
Once what, a day?
Once a week. So it means, it's like, I always advise, Jeff, you get salary how many times in a month?
Once.
But you're able to plan within a horizon of 30 days.
Yes.
So if you're able to get sufficient water in one day, you can save that water by stocking it to enable you take it for a week. That is what we advise. You know, Kenyans want, this is the challenge, to see water running 24/7, 365 days. It's not possible.
It's not.
It's not. These are water scarce country. We have to move backwards and do integrated water resource management. What we are doing as WASPA now, with our members, we are going now to conserve and protect by planting of more trees in our catchment areas, so that before we clean the water and distribute it, we are also able to ensure that we conserve it as a resource.
Absolutely.
You see, there was a story on BBC about water being discovered in Turkana. You know
Yes, right underneath the oil.
Yes. What was
Water
it?
enough for 70 years.
Yes, that we have two aquifers.
Correct.
Yes.
Anthony, tell us about that. What be your magic?
Majiko. Under the National Water Master Plan, I was recently in Stockholm, and one thing that was coming out is that groundwater has a potential of transforming Africa. The biggest challenge we have is that we don't know how much groundwater we have.
Right.
And I think now this one behoves the Water Resources Management Authority to be able to put mechanisms in place to establish the amount of water we have. Even the issue of scarcity would not be talking about. So there's groundwater, but I think we have to be told how much it is.
Okay, but this one in Turkana in particular, they did say how much it is. It's water that could last the entire country for 70 years, 70 years.
70.
Yes, I agree, and this is where you have to put mechanisms. You see this row of water resource, and the beauty is that is within the purview of national government. It means that if you have to abstract that water should be able to serve several counties.
Yes.
And this is where consultation, cooperation, there are different levels of government. But you have to consult, you have to cooperate to ensure that this resource equitably benefits the citizen. So I think now that it is under the National Water Master Plan, the Ministry of Water should be looking at mechanism of ensuring this is distributed where water is not available.
But have you heard?
But that one requires huge infrastructure investment because you have to have it like the example of Mombasa. Mombasa doesn't have water of its own. It gets water from Baricho. Malindi the same. And it also gets water from Taita, the Mzima Springs.
Yes, Taita Hills.
I think that is the arrangement that needs to be done. I believe there are mechanisms to see how this water could benefit the populace that doesn't have.
Do you know if anyone is doing anything about it, trying to exploit it or bring it up from the ground?
Honestly, no, at the moment. But I should be able to check what the ministry is doing about it.
Is it ni maji mingi?
Ndio 70.
70 years.
Unajua there is some, kuna watu wanauza maji kwa barabara. Maji ingine ukikunywa inaitwa Dongo and Associate Water. Sio bana hizo. You regulate this Dongo as an associate. Kuna maji mingi hapa kwa bypass pale. Iko. And you buy, unajua ukinunua on transit unaenda unaisikilia mbele. Hiyo Dongo and Associate.
Dongo.
Do you regulate these people?
Now, I've said that what is regulated is the sources.
Okay.
But when you have the challenge, at times it is difficult even to superintend it, because at times you may not know the source of water. But what we encourage is that people should buy water from sources that are approved. Because where water is not available, like networks, in informal settlements, at least like Nairobi Water has tried, you will see there are kiosks. That this is kiosks supplied by Nairobi Water. People can go there. And there are those that have been allowed to supply it. So that one is inspected.
Okay.
That one is inspected to ensure it is safe and clean.
Eric is saying no water at all, Kasarani Hunters area. Anthony?
Yes.
Kasarani kumekauka.
Yes. I think this is a question that will be best answered by the management of Nairobi Water.
Sasa turudi yuko.
Kuna mwingine hapa.
Unasemaje?
Josi. Anasema ask the water guy. Jina lazima tupeane. Why Nairobi Water never repairs flowing sewer? Hii mambo ya sewer, is it under
as an association, you see, we deal with advocacy issues. Now, when it comes to operational issues, Nairobi Water has regional offices, and I would request them to contact the regional offices because those ones. At times, I meet it. Okay. When I meet maybe an overflow, it's normal because when you are working, maybe a pipe burst. I always call the management of Nairobi Water, and they'll come in. It is good for them also to report, unless it is also an important way of the customers engaging the company.
Do you have like a number that you can give people?
Yes, Nairobi Water, they are available. If you Google their website, they have a list of addresses and regional contacts where you can report. They have a fully fledged customer services that should be able to address all those operational issues.
We're speaking live with Anthony Ambugo. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Water Services Providers Association, WASPA. By the way, how long have you been in the water business? Because you sound more like a university lecturer.